Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea. You know, every day on the John Campea Show, people support the channel by sending in digital tips and using the super chat feature on YouTube to send in questions. And on the rare occasion that somebody sends in one that's like $50 or more, I like to honor that by answering their question in its own video. And that's what we're going to do right now with a question that got sent in to us by another Skywalker who writes, "Hi, John. I was just wondering if you planned on interviewing actors at some point in the future. Is it difficult to get them to agree? Is it easy when they have a project that's about to be released? How does that work? By the way, I like the third Matrix movie." Well, good on you, another Skywalker. You like that movie if that's what you like. Anyway, okay, the whole topic of celebrity interviews. It's an interesting one. Now, I used to do all the celebrity interviews. I used to talk to them all. Every time a movie was coming out, I would go to the press junkets and sit down with every star and every director of every movie coming out, and I did that for years. There was and at first, it felt so cool. Like, oh my God, I get to go and sit in a room with Nicole Kidman and talk to her one-on-one for a few minutes. Oh my God, I get to go in a room and sit down and talk one-on-one with Robert Downey Jr. for a little bit. Like, oh my God, I get to go down, sit down in a room with Michael B. Jordan and talk one-on-one for a couple of minutes. Wow, it was so cool, right? That wears off pretty quick because there are a couple of things about press junkets there are drawbacks to them, which is why I ultimately stopped doing them. When I was at AMC, I stopped doing them myself. I started sending other people to do them, and then I eventually just stopped sending people to do them altogether, and we stopped. The number one reason why I stopped doing these things is because they are a real pain in the ass. I mean, number one, you usually got to drive 45 minutes across town to go to a particular theater to watch a press screening for the movie. And that's fine, but then you got to drive 45 minutes back. Now you've already invested an hour and a half of your time into this interview they haven't even had yet. Then you got to drive another 45 minutes the next day to go to, usually was held at the Beverly Hills Four Seasons. Studios would book a floor at the Beverly Hills Four Seasons, and that's where they do the press junket. So you'd go in, you'd have to sit in a waiting room for an hour or a bit. Then you go to one hotel room, one of the rooms of the hotel, and sit on a chair out front of the room for about 15, 20 minutes. Then when it's your turn, you get to go into the room to talk to the movie star. You sit down and you get to talk to them for 3 minutes. 3 minutes you have to converse with them. Then when you're done that, you have to walk down the hall to another room, sit down and wait for another 15 to 20 minutes, then go in to talk to them for 3 minutes. Repeat this process. Then when you're done, you got to go back to the waiting area, sit down and wait for them to finish your footage because they collect and get all your footage to you. Go and get your footage, drive another half hour back. By the time it's all said and done, you get like 5 or 6 interviews. But between investing time and going to the screening, there's about 4.5 hours there. You just spend another 3 or 4 hours there. You're talking about like a 7-hour investment in getting these short 3-minute interviews. Now, that sort of an investment for these little interviews would be worth it if those interviews got a lot of views, which brings us to the second and maybe the biggest reason why I stopped doing the press junket interviews and why I ultimately stopped sending people to do them. And that's this: nobody cares about them. Nobody watched them. I mean, I remember this one time, it was still at AMC, I did this discussion, I talked with Robert Downey Jr., and we put it up, and later that day, I put up another video that was just some random 2-minute video about, I can't remember, why butter is delicious in a movie. It was just something random, it wasn't anything big. And that random little video I put up ended up literally getting 10 times the views that my interview with Robert Downey Jr. did. Nobody would watch these junket interviews. Every once in a blue moon, you'd come across one that would get some attention. Like there's this infamous one that I did with Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans together. That was a lot of fun. That one got a whole bunch of views, but really it was only like 1 out of every 20 of them would get any views. So then I, as kind of like the head of this thing, I had to sit down and go, is it worth our time and energy and effort to take up like 7 hours of one of our staff's days, whether it's mine or somebody else's, so we can get 4 or 5 interviews that maybe altogether will get 3,000 or 4,000 views? No, it just wasn't worth it. What would be more valuable is actually having an individual actor come to you and come to your studio where you get to sit down for 15, 20, 30 minutes and talk to them. Those become more valuable, but those ones, and I did a few of those, But those ones are very hard to get because actors' time is very limited. It's very, very difficult to arrange those. It's much easier to get those interviews at press junkets. And so, do I plan on doing them again? No. I'm not going to say never. Maybe at some point I'll get back in touch with the studios and say, okay, I'm willing to come and do these press junkets again, put me on the list. But I really don't see myself doing them because there's just not a lot of value in them, to be completely honest with you. But that's just my experience with it and the way I see it. Other people may feel differently. Question is, guys, how do you feel about that? Do you spend a lot of time on YouTube watching celebrity interviews? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. And listen, guys, while you're here, why don't you take a second, click on that subscribe button, become a subscriber to the John Campea YouTube channel, and stay up to date on everything we got going on. That will do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.